I'm not one to consider myself the type to post any type of content on YouTube or really anything with my own voice in it, mostly because I hate listening to it afterwards. But I was recently turned on to these Microtech Halos. Not genuine, of course. These are clones uh, bought on websites like AliExpress, dhgate, that have been getting quite a bit of hype from a lot of people in the knife community, as well as hate. There's a bit of a conflict in, of course, politics and property rights, because we seem to have a large influx of these Chinese corporations and manufacturers who are pumping out sincere counterfeits. I mean, as much as people like to call this a clone, this is not a clone. This is a counterfeit. It labels itself as Microtech. It uses Microtech markings and proprietary features, things that are just direct copies. And whether or not you would like to purchase that is entirely up to you. I don't try to give any hate to anyone who decides, hey, oh, excuse me. Ooh, all right. Yep. Sorry about that. Probably edit that out. I'm not one who would give someone hate for, I'm not one to scorn someone for choosing to purchase something like this. Mostly because I would myself, as I obviously have here. And I've noticed that there are a lot of reviews for the Microtech Halo counterfeits that people are coming out with. And, a lot of praise. Seems like the quality seems to be even on par with Microtech on certain occasions. And people are going nuts. You're getting a design that's almost $600 just at the regular MSRP for $50. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer if you look at it from a purely cost-effective standpoint. This knife is worth it. If you want a Halo of any variety, go for this. Like I said, it really just boils down to personal opinion. But my point being is that I have not seen very comprehensive reviews in video. When I found out about this, I got so excited. I was like, I gotta have it. I gotta find some. I gotta buy as many as I can, mostly because I don't know how much longer this train's gonna last, to be quite frank, And I'm just gonna close the knife real quick. How long before these companies get shut down? Or simply just decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to make Microtech Halos anymore. So I figured, the getting's good. Let's go for it. Now, this knife, I can't quite give it the critiques I would for a brand new one straight out of the box from companies like dhgate. This is going to have a grain of salt taken with it, because I did buy it used. I bought it from a user called Love Them Knives. He's been posting pretty regularly on a lot of the clones of these very, very high-end, pricier knives that China just seems to be pumping out, like it's made out of paper. Like, honestly, sometimes I'm not even sure how they manage to sell it at even that price point, $50. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, it is used, and I'm going to be treating it like reviewing a used item. Very lightly used, I will say that. It's very clear that Love Them Knives did not use this harshly. He didn't abuse it. Probably just sliced a few things, maybe stabbed a few things, maybe you dropped it once or twice, whatever. Normal wear and tear. Now, things to get out of the way first. Obviously, yeah, it's huge. This is a big knife. This is a big, beefy blade. very thick stock, honestly. For a folder, or not a folder, I guess a retractor, I guess would be more appropriate. This is massive. I'm just going to close it. A little hard to do it on camera, but I somehow managed. Yeah, this thing's big. No way around it. I mean, for size reference, Spyderco, what is it? The smallest one is the Ambitious, right? That's kind of funny. So small that it has to have ambition. And just the open blade itself for the Ambitious is not even the full length of just the handle on the Microtech Halo. In fact, it's so large that, you know, I can't even get it full into frame. I mean, I'm using my phone, so not the best reference point, or I guess camera quality, but I'm trying. Like I said, I'm not typical poster on YouTube. I find it uncomfortable, but I found that this seems worth it because it truly does fascinate me. This is a very, very, very interesting era, I guess, we have in the knife community. You know, I mean, I don't think that the entire time China has been producing counterfeits, you know, there have been knives of this quality before. I mean, just quality from China is already kind of novel, considering that's the country that is known for basically producing shit. But this is not shit. This is shine, you know. And I think I trust myself to differentiate it. Now, what you get with the knife is a Kydex type sheath. I believe it's Kydex, actually. I have some actual Kydex from some builds that, you know, I put through. And it looks genuine, it feels genuine. And we have this tech lock-like thing that I'm honestly not crazy about. I mean, I just feel like it adds girth. You know, see that? Look, there's the sheath. A little bit wider than the knife itself, which is actually pleasantly thin for a folder. This is about my max, actually. I wouldn't say pleasantly thin. I will say that it is appropriate. And it just doubles it. I wouldn't want that on my belt at all. It would annoy me. It would get in the way. I'd rather just, you know, loop paracord through the lanyard holes, or the rivet holes, and loop it that way, or heck, maybe even figure out how to make some kind of pocket clip for this so I can leave it in there. But it's nothing special. It's more of a hindrance. I'm not big on it. I don't think most people would be big on it. Now, oh, the box. That's probably a good way to start. Here, I have some eye candy in the back. This is a great looking knife. The anodization is on point. Now, of course, you know, we get the BS Microtech box, like labeled as such, but it is not. I find that funny. Made in USA. Really trying, but I guess that's the point, you know. Let's ride the Microtech reputation a little bit. Now, pamphlet, I have not gone through this, but yeah, essentially, no, you know, knife care, how to work your action. I'm working at a low angle with this, and then registration. Yeah, you know what? The registration right here. Good luck with that. I'm sure Microtech will be very pleased if someone were to try that. And that's actually the scarier thing, is that I have to agree with the majority. Yeah, I have to agree with the majority. This is honestly a product that I'm sincerely impressed by how good it looks, how well it's been performing. I did do a few cuts with this, a few stabs, I even dropped it 4 or 5 times on the ground the second I got it, because I want to beat this one up a little bit. I haven't seen a user video. I've only seen tabletop reviews after the fact. Take the reviewer's word for it. And I want to be a little different. I want to post me actually using this to see if the quality speaks for itself, and to maybe help other people get an informed decision about this. Because, you know what? Not everyone has 55, 60 bucks to spend on an outfit like this and then wait 3 weeks for it to ship from China, to maybe not even, make it into the country or their mailboxes, and to have it break. I understand skepticism. I understand fear of, losing your investment. Now, this is actually the second one I've purchased. I purchased one directly a few days before this from dhgate, and it is the green anodized one, and I'm more excited for that because the red, I like the color, but I like the green better. I think it looked nicer. I think it looked just better. But this one, I'm not going to baby it. I don't feel the need to. I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, so that's kind of my goal here, is to actually post. But this is an initial impressions. This is what you will get right out of the box. If you do choose to order this, you set aside the politics, you set aside the shipping time. You're willing to make, honestly, the commitment. Oh, sorry about that. I have dropped my microphone. Oh, having all kinds of technical difficulties today. But yeah, if you're willing to make the commitment to purchase this, this is what you're going to find. I will note a few things from what I hear is that I've never owned an actual Microtech, simply for the fact that being in an area where an auto is probably more restricted and less carry-friendly than, say, the Spyderco or the Victorinox, that I was hesitant to try to purchase autos. I mean, people will still ship them to where I live. It's fine for the most part if you find someone who's okay with it, and it's not a huge crime. If you're like, oh, I live in maybe like California or Chicago, and you're thinking, oh, I really want an auto, but I don't want to like have to deal with any legal things. I've run into times where my knife was put in question, and I was never beaten up over it. In fact, I never even had it confiscated. It was always just, treat an officer with respect, and they'll generally leave you alone. That's been my experiences. I mean, different for everyone, but always remain civil, and you will be rewarded, is my my mantra. So yeah, if and actually, a point on that, to my understanding, is that dhgate, or I guess the seller Vespa, who manufactures these, they will ship these anywhere, basically. Like, no matter where you are, no matter the legality, they do not fucking care. And I like that. Let's get a little anarchy into the situation and support your local black market. I don't know what much else I can cover about this. You know what? Let's go over hardware impressions. So the entire finish is this gorgeous satin, I guess bead blasted aluminum. And from what I hear, this is 6160. 6160, I'm not a metallurgist. I would say probably an amateur metallurgist. But it is it's a fine grade of aluminum. So don't worry about pot metal handles, that were poured and molded and then roughly machined to have a nice shape. This is a genuine aluminum handle, 6160. I believe that's used in a lot of nice handles and some AR-15 lower receivers. I know that a lot of the 80% lowers use 6160 because it is a bit softer, than, what is it, 771 something aluminum, but it is a bit softer, but it is a fine grade. It's a workhorse. So I'm not scared about that. The anodization and the quality of the handle seem to be up there. Now the button, let me get this to focus, a little marred, but I don't think that's me. I think that's fingernails from previous owner and myself. The hardware screws are all wonderfully uniform. Of course, they're piggybacking off of the original Microtech triangle-shaped screws. So if you do want to take this apart, you're going to need to buy a proprietary screw head. Now, from my understanding, there are two versions of the Microtech Halo that are counterfeits that have varying quality. This is supposedly the better one. I have not had the worse quality one. I don't plan on purchasing it. I'm kind of at my knife budget, set for the month, maybe 2 months, honestly. And that one comes with proprietary screw head, or the little driver, the bit, to take this apart. This one doesn't. I'm not concerned about it. None of these look loose. If they do get loose, I'll save the screw in a bag, put this away, buy the head, get some Loctite, and, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. So yeah, these seem to be very uniform. Occasionally, when you have a cheaper Chinese knife, even a cheaper genuine production knife, like I've even had some Spydercos where I found that their screw heads have a bit differing quality in the in the finish and manufacture. For example, maybe I have one of the little cutouts is a little different or offset or wonky. Nothing bad, nothing that would hamper the functionality of the blade, but just something that is a quality control failing. Not a big failing, but it is a failing. I'm not gonna, attack Spyderco for that. That's fine. This is a budget knife anyway. Like if I saw that on my Spyderco Manix 2 XL, I would be pissed because that's $100 plus knife. And I think it's actually getting cheaper, but you get my point. So yeah, the machining is another point on this. Just slight awkward variations. I mean, right here, it's hard to tell, but they're offset a little bit. And see right here? That's cut slightly deeper than on top. But you know what? It's not horrendous. It's clean machining. It just wasn't aligned properly. I don't know, maybe if they do one set of handles and the other, and then they just screw them together, or if they go through one go. If it is the separate one, I'm impressed. This is good. Could be better, but it's not terrible. Let's see, the charging handle, if I can get it open on camera. Oily, as it should be, actually. I enjoy that. The fact that it is oiled. Lubrication reduces friction, and reducing friction will reduce wear. So I want this to last me. And it seems to be 2 pieces of the charging handle, but I'm not concerned about that. It doesn't seem flimsy. And I can't think of one situation where you're charging this knife and then you have to bend this, because it is thin enough that if I wanted to break it, I will break it. But I don't want to break it. And using it as it should be will never lead to it breaking. So look, fake Microtech, etching. These are laser etched. Oop. And there's the serial number and the, I guess, birth date. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if they manufactured this, March of this year or November of last. I don't even, they could have done it 3 months ago, for all I know. But it is questionable, certain things on this knife, because we're never going to get full answers. We're not going to have the company that's making counterfeits fully admitting their process, or I guess secrets. I'm not sure. Blade steel is labeled LMAX. I've never had LMAX, but doing some digging, I found people who have said that this behaves at the worst, but I don't believe it's the Vespa manufacturer. Now, this is the Vespa manufacturer. If we're going to talk counterfeits, there are two manufacturers in mind that if you can positively identify them, they are the best. And that's Samier, I don't know, Samier on dhgate. They produce some knives that cost actually above $100, but that's still less than the $700-800 price point that the custom makers or high-end manufacturers are charging for their genuine versions. So Samier is one. I don't believe they make the OTFs. Vespa is the OTF. They like to do a lot of Microtech clones and copies, and that's kind of their deal. Samier actually, I think, targets customs, and those are the two that have the best quality. I forgot the point I was trying to make here. Vespa. Oh, yes, the blade steel. So, yeah, LMAX. Someone stated, I found maybe a comment or a few posts saying that, like, you know, these knives are labeled LMAX, but on the manufacturing sheet or the spec sheet that you'll find online, most say D2. And I've had one blade in D2. I didn't use it a whole bunch. I think I sold it like a month after I bought it. I was just bored with the design. It didn't wow me when I got the actual knife. You know, I didn't lose my shit over it like I did this, actually. I did lose my shit. I've been pumped for the last week about getting this knife. And it's met the expectation. So, D2 is likely what the blade is. D2 is a great steel, of course. I know a lot of custom makers like D2. A lot of Benchmade. Benchmade is big on D2 from what I understand. I haven't had any Benchmades. Nothing of theirs has really screamed at me. You know, maybe I'll get a clone infidel at one point, but I can't really see myself actually getting any genuine Benchmade. I don't like the look of them. So yeah, D2, and you know, it behaves very much like a higher end steel. Not if I wanted to compare something, here I have 8CR13 MOV. All right, not horrible. It's a blade steel. This will stay sharp. This will cut things. This will stab things, and you'll sharpen it again. That's the point. You know, if you want higher end steels, the point of higher end steels is to not only do everything that this will do, but it's to do it better. And this is better than 8CR13 MOV so far. I think I took it through some cardboard for about 10 minutes, and yeah, we're still there. This is still functioningly sharp. This cardboard for 10 minutes, I'm either stropping it or I'm touching it up in some way. So have faith in the steel. I think that's the end point of this long tangent. But you know what? I guess that's the point. Get it? That's the point of a knife. Will it cut? Will it cut for long? Will it cut well? That's what you really want to know. And then everything else, to me, in my opinion, is secondary. So, yeah, blade steel's all right. Now, some things to notice is that, again, I'm not a Microtech person. I hesitate from ever wanting to buy an actual one, simply for the fact that I've heard they've had some issues in quality control, and it varies. It almost comes in waves, from what I understand, where you'll have sometimes where, you know, like the knives are perfect. Like, oh, this series of Halos or Ultratechs was fantastic. Everything was perfect. Grind lines were amazing. By the way, grind lines on this are amazing. Very crisp. Everything matches. It's just fun. But yeah, so, you know, Microtech having some slight QC issues, which, not to say that any of the QC issues made the knife a bad knife, but Microtech, it's the price. The price is really what amplifies the issue of quality control. If I buy a $700 knife, I want you to 10 out of 10 nail it, okay? There may be design issues that I don't agree with, but so long as the design is as polished and perfect and pretty, I'm not gonna mind. Not everyone likes a Tanto blade, or Tanto if you want to get more traditional, but I want it to be a good Tanto blade. I don't want to see a wonky grind line. I want to see the secondary tip match up with the other side. I want straight. I don't want crooked. I don't want bent anything. And from what I heard, Microtech had some things. A lot on their double-edged knives. Let me just do this again. A lot of their double-edged knives seem to have, grind issues where maybe it didn't meet up on one side, it met up on the other a little bit off. Not horrible. So, the point being is that some people have compared this to Microtech and said this has better quality. I'm not sure about that because I really can't say. Not a Microtech owner. Not a genuine Microtech owner, at least. So I can't make any comparisons. I wish I could. If I ever get my hands on a real Halo, I'll finger fuck that thing all day, seeing if I can make comparisons. And who knows, maybe this could come out on top. And if this is better than Microtech, I don't know why anyone is paying $500 when this thing is a tank. This is beefy. Everything about this screams, I'm used for fucking things up. Whether you actually use this for cutting open zip ties or food, that's up to you. But if we're gonna go over, we'll get a little nut and fancy over here. Not the biggest fan, but was it point of use? Whatever. This is for hurting. This is the knife that I would feel a lot better pulling out if someone is mugging me in an alleyway. So long as they don't have a gun. If they have a gun, have my wallet. Have anything you want. But if they pull out a knife, I pull out a better knife. And this is the better knife. This is a great knife. I think, honestly, just from the first impressions, buy it. And now it's really up to what I'm actually going to use this for. And I've noticed I've been droning on for a little bit, so maybe I can wrap this up in some way. Unless you like the long review, then good for you. I'll leave landmarks, if you just want a straight answer, buy it. That'll be, 28 minutes, 12 seconds or something. So, this is a good motherfucker. And getting back to the comparisons between Microtech's QC and Vespa's QC, from what I hear, occasionally Halos would come out of the factory with tips right out of the opening. Now, not sticking out, obviously, in a bad way, but just at the point so close there that if you drag your finger above, you get a little cut. And honestly, I don't like that. I would not buy a $500 knife for that reason. That's stupid. I should not be cut by my $500 knife unless I was trying to cut myself with my $500 knife. Very similar issue to the Boker Kwaiken, from what I hear. Apparently the blade met so close to the actual spine of the knife handle that if you ran your finger over it, you could slice your finger. Not horribly, but again, I don't want to cut myself with my knife. Unless I'm doing something with my knife and then I happen to be in the way of my knife, it's inexcusable for it to just be sitting there and then I have the potential to injure myself. Now, this does not have that problem, and that's the best part about it, is that, they saw that and they said, hey, we're not going to do that. And I would, good for you, Vespa. Don't be like Microtech, I guess. Not that there's anything really bad about Microtech. I don't know too much about them as a company. I mean, they could be shit. I'm not a big fan of Cold Steel for their politic reasons. I mean, I think Lynn Thompson's more of a... He's a better salesman than I think he is a you know, an honest person. And also, like, what's up with... was it trademarking the term San Mai? That's stupid. Come on. But besides the point. The Microtech Counterfeit by Vespa. If I forget anything, you know, I'll have secondary videos. I'll have more. Hopefully, you know, this is a good reference point, I think. I'm trying to cover things that I haven't heard from other reviews. And that, you know what, that's how we improve the market, truly. I mean, not to get all economist or political, but it's all about improving the standpoint of the consumer, and I feel like reviews are very important to that. Companies listen to them, people listen to them, and purchasing and not purchasing is really what dictates what products we see in the market. One last point is that I have noticed, and I believe this is now user error, honestly. When I first got the knife, and I would extend it, occasionally I would find that the button would be stuck a little bit. Not stuck like you can't open it, but just depressed into the little recession right here whenever I closed it. And I think I found that I was just not using the closing mechanism properly. I was just shitty at it. Because now that I've been practicing all of a few hours, I haven't run into that problem anymore. It's pretty sweet. So, if you think that's happening to you and you have this, don't be scared. Be better. That's all I gotta say. And that should be it. I will post few parts in my review, and then eventually an impressions review of the new out of the box. This again, used. Not abused, though. Beautiful. Basically new.